justice for all. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our meeting here tonight. It's April 23rd, 2014, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. We do have a presentation, a brief one from our insurance agent, Mr. Dave Bodenstein. And he's not quite here yet, so we're going to proceed with our agenda items. We do not have that many agenda items. It's relatively light for tonight, so we do have some discussions that we need to have. And so we're going to start right with 8A. This is a junkyard license renewal for Mr. Lima. Everybody knows where Mr. Lima is, on Gale Road. He's been there many years. He's filled out an application, paid his fee, and what we normally do is we receive it here at the town board and then send it to the building department for an inspection. Is there any questions or comments about a junkyard for Mr. Lima?
Make a motion, we accept.
Motion to approve and send to the building department from Bernie.
Second.
By Dawn, all in favor?
Yes.
We have a proclamation, which is 8B. Relatively brief, so I'll read it. It's called Building Safety Month. It says, whereas our town's continuing efforts to address the critical issue of safety, energy efficiency, and resilience in the built environment that affects our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, gives us confidence that our structures are safe and sound. Whereas our confidence is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, laborers, and others in the construction industry, who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians, dedicated members of the International Code Council, use a governmental consensus process that brings together local, state, and federal officials with expertise in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect Americans in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, play. And whereas the international codes, the most widely adopted building safety, energy, and fire prevention codes in the nation, are used by most U.S. cities, counties, and states. These modern building codes also include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, and earthquakes. Whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. Whereas Building Safety, Maximizing Resilience, Minimizing Risk is the theme for Building Safety Month 2014, encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building safe and resilient structures, fire prevention, disaster mitigation, backyard safety, energy efficiency, and new technologies in the construction industry. Building Safety Month 2014 encourages appropriate steps everyone can take to ensure that the places where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe and sustainable. Recognize that countless lives have been saved due to the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies. Whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential services provided to all of us by our local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Therefore, I, Daniel Sturm, Supervisor of the Town of Bethel, do hereby proclaim month of May as Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join with the communities in participation in Building Safety Month activities. Rather self-explanatory, and appreciation of our codes officials. Safety Month, a lot across the state, many municipalities are doing it. I would entertain a motion from the board to approve this resolution.
Make a motion, Dave. I'll second it.
From Vicky and a second by Lillian. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Yes, go right ahead.
To add to that,
Sure.
could we ask maybe the fire companies, we have 3 of them in town,
to maybe do some safety things at our Community Pride Day. And that would help with education, sometimes they have.
In the
different
past,
things.
I know Conneaga, there've been different ones that have been there, so.
Yeah, Smallwood's
we could
done it
find out.
also.
Smallwood coming, Bernie? Okay, yeah.
Recently, I haven't seen them, so maybe we as a board, if we can ask them to come out and do some safety.
We run that through the youth department, is that right? The Community Pride Day is run through the youth department.
Yes.
So we would ask them to do that.
Great.
Okay. Eight C, again, we have a light agenda, so we're gonna go to a couple of these items. Amend the Yasgur Road noise permit to include August 14th. As some of the board members may recall, about a month ago or so, we had a noise permit application for Yasgur Road. They went to the planning board this year, they received a special use permit for a camping event and an open air outdoor recreation event at the planning board for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of the Woodstock weekend this year, which is August 15th through the 17th. Some of the suggestions from the planning board were that there is going to be obviously music playing, and a noise permit was required for this event. That the noise permit has to go to the town board. We approved, the applicant came to us last month, we approved for those 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m., and I think Sunday ended at midnight of Woodstock weekend. In front of us, we have asked for a modification or an addition to that noise permit. So rather than just being the 3 days, the applicant is asking to add Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. That's what you have in front of us at 8C. Is there any questions or comments? I have a couple, but I just want to see what the board.
I have a comment.
Yes, Lily.
I don't believe that we should let her do this on Thursday also. They're only supposed to be coming in on Thursday, towards evening. They're coming.
Supposed to come in on Friday.
That's what I mean. So why are we getting music to Thursday now? She had said to me at one point, maybe late Thursday night, near early Friday morning. Fine, but I do not believe she needs a noise permit for Thursday when they're not supposed to be coming in until early Friday morning, like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning or later, which makes it Friday. I do not believe she needs a noise permit from 10 a.m. That's my opinion.
On that Thursday.
On that Thursday, that's ridiculous, 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. again, when they're not even supposed to be there on Thursday.
Thank you, Lillian. Vicki,
I may,
questions,
Dan,
comments?
I was at the planning board meeting the night that the noise permit was approved. And, there were people there was a public hearing, was held, people, got a chance to listen, it was very open, it was very transparent, they knew what was happening, there were not a lot of naysayers, I don't even know that there were any naysayers about the event. So I see no reason why we should grant an additional day, just to upset. It shows like, it would seem like we were trying to sneak something in. Everybody that was there was good with what was happening, and now we want to add another day. And nobody's here tonight that is in that area. So we're just going to sweep it in under the rug, and I don't like that idea.
And I was also
So
there.
I would completely be against just granting another noise permit. It's supposed to go from 10 a.m. in the morning until 2 a.m. For sound checks. I don't see why you would need from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. I don't see why they couldn't do the sound checks on Friday morning. They are granted to start at 10 a.m. on Friday. They can do their sound checks then. And I don't see any reason to grant this.
Lillian, you had another comment?
Especially, I was here that night, and there was quite a few people at the meeting. And I really do not, both times I was here, when she first applied and afterwards when we had it open to the public, and I don't believe she has the right to do this now when we don't have people here from that area. I really don't.
Lily, she has the right to ask, and we have a right to.
But I don't think she has the right to.
You don't think we should approve it, right?
No.
Okay. Bernie, we'll go down the table.
Okay.
That's all right. Bernie?
First of all, isn't this a planning board issue and not a town board issue?
No, The site, the special use permit was a planning board issue, and they approved them for the 3 days.
What was that?
However, the noise permit, which is separate and apart from the permit from the planning board, is something that this town board has to approve. The actual code in our noise section of our code requires the town board to approve noise that is out of the ordinary and maybe excessive. So yes, to come here, it is a requirement of our code to come to the town board. Okay, Bernie? Yep. Dawn?
The way I read the code and look at it, in section 227 DE, if the event is not a community-wide or public event, evidence of notification of the application for the permit has been given to each person reasonably expected to be affected by the noise. You know, and she has at least 14 days in advance of the event to file for our noise application. I would personally recommend to her that she'd need to start a separate application, the way I read the code, and start over for Thursday. And I agree with the rest of the board members. I think the event's not happening, it would be excessive to run it from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. I do understand the need to set up an event like this. So, you know, to go from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., but through another noise application where everyone would have a chance to be notified and go through the process like it did the first time.
If I'm not mistaken, the noise section of the code, there's an option of one, say a public hearing. I think that's an option of the town board.
Yes, the board does have an option.
And then, and you're suggesting that there's neighbor notification in there,
It
that's a
says in
requirement or
here.
a request or
It says it's a requirement.
neighbor
that-
notification?
Yeah, it says evidence that notification of the applicant for the permit has been given to each person reasonably expected to be affected by the noise.
I don't know that we've ever-
So-
Okay, is there,
Yeah, go ahead.
is there a distance requirement between the neighbor notification?
I have to
500.
review that code that she has.
In this section, it does not indicate the distance in our
Yeah.
zoning.
May I take
It
a minute?
indicates
knows.
500 feet. So there would still have to be notification of the Russell farm.
What's less than 100 feet?
Property
Is there a-
joining.
Oh, okay.
He's adjoining
Yeah.
her property. That's within 500 feet.
Unless Danny would know.
But I don't see anything in their listing.
See, what brings to my thought is that it says if the event is not a community-wide or public event, this is a public event. They're
But-
selling tickets.
She's selling tickets.
Right, so which
That's
means to me
not-
that if it is not a public event, then you would need evidence of the people nearby. That's why we've never had notification of neighbors.
Okay.
So that's, just a brief review of that.
Mhm. But it does indicate in there that the town board has the right to
Yes.
have a public hearing.
Yes. So what is the feelings of the board on this application? Feelings, motions?
I would make a motion that we deny this application.
We have a motion on the floor to deny the application. Is there a second?
I will second it.
Second by
I
Lillian.
believe she had plenty of opportunity, and she knows the law better than Dawn does, or anyone else, please believe me. Because I was at every planning board meeting with her.
Okay, so we'll take Lillian's second. Let's do, so we have a motion, we have a second, let's do a roll call vote.
Mrs. Ryder?
Excuse me, were you at the
Which
thing?
one?
Were you at?
Who, me?
No.
So we're, just to clarify, it's a
Yeah.
motion
To
to
deny.
deny
Deny
the
the-
amendment to include Thursday, August 14th.
Yes.
No.
Can I ask a question?
So that's a nay.
Were
Mr.
you at the planning board meetings, Dawn?
Mr.
I
Cohen?
think she should go back through the process.
Is there a thinking process, time? You got like 10 minutes to think about it?
We already have a motion and a second, so,
So the motion is hanging in the air now. It's, I'll give you a moment to think about it if you'd like, that's more than reasonable.
You can call a friend, Bernie. You can call a friend.
Who?
He said we could phone a friend.
Oh, okay.
But if you want a minute, we'll just take a break for a minute and then we'll proceed. That's
you can
fine.
always make another motion, if you have another thought, you
Right.
can vote, and then make another motion on whatever your thought is.
Well, you know, I know the code is what the code is, but I don't know, we're not looking at another 3 days, we're looking at 1 day. I don't know, you know.
I'm sorry that, I don't know if you can read my writing in the sidebar. It says setting up rehearsals, sound checks, 10 to 2 a.m., and then she noted that she may finish earlier.
What I don't understand,
And I thought
Oh, I
the
see it,
10 with
okay.
the 2 a.m.
what I don't understand is why she didn't know that she
Yeah, I
had
see.
to test
Yeah.
this music the day before, when she's been doing this for years.
Okay.
Well, it's not a day before, actually.
And this is simply
She has-
denying this permit.
Go ahead.
That's
Yeah,
right.
let's do the.
Doesn't deny her the ability to redo this. It denies her this permit.
Lily, Mrs. Hendrickson,
What?
we're on a roll call vote.
Oh, we got to that now?
Yes.
I
Yes.
thought we were waiting for Bernie.
No.
We're gonna come back to Bernie.
No, they come back.
Oh, I
Before the
vote to
next
deny it.
Okay.
Mrs. Simpson,
I'm voting for my motion. Yes.
so that's a nay.
It's a
Mr.
yes.
Sturm,
I agree, it should be denied.
Mr. Cohen,
I'm gonna have to pass.
okay, it's either
I-
yes or no.
Okay, then no.
So that's 5 no's, and so the motion passes to deny the
It was
amendment to
4.
include.
It was 3 to 2
Yeah,
to
it was
deny.
3 to 2. I
Who voted
second.
yes? Raise your hands. So
We
you're in
want to-
favor, you're in favor of the amendment?
Of the
In favor of
motion.
Denying it.
No, you're not in favor of the, okay. The roll call vote is on the motion to deny the applicant the
Yes.
ability to do sound checks on August 14th.
So I'm voting in
So
favor of
you're
my
in favor of the
motion.
motion?
Yes.
Okay. So there was, who was
3
in,
to 2.
who voted yes?
We did. We voted yes
We
to,
voted.
Okay, hold
in
on.
favor of the
Okay.
motion to deny.
Voting no is in favor of the motion. But, oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Right. Go ahead, that's right.
I'm gonna start over. If you're in, so we have a motion and a second. Mrs. Ryder,
If I'm not in favor of the motion, so.
It's no.
No, it's no.
okay. Mr. Cohen?
No.
No. Mr. Stern?
Yes.
Yes. Mrs. Simpson?
Yes.
Yes. And Mrs. Hendrickson, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's 3 in favor, 2 against, motion passes.
Thank you,
Okay.
and thank you to the board.
But she can refile 10 days before.
Actually, you need 14 days before.
14, excuse me.
Sure, that's a possibility, yep.
Can we file tomorrow?
Right.
And if she free fouls, that's.
Rita, can we
Yes.
go to 8D?
Sure.
And this is a resolution to participate in the cleanup, which is very brief, so I'll read it. Resolution to authorize participation in the 2014 county municipal cleanup. Whereas the town of Bethel will be participating in the 2014 municipal cleanup to improve the appearance of Sullivan County, and whereas the county of Sullivan has set guidelines and regulations for the town who are participating in the program, and whereas the town of Bethel Town Board is desirous of participating and has authorized the town supervisor to sign any and all necessary agreements with the county of Sullivan. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Bethel will conduct their annual spring up cleanup on next Saturday, May 3rd, and Sunday, May 4th. Questions, comments, or motions?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Dawn, second by Bernie, all in favor?
Yes.
That one's a little cleaner there. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna participate in the cleanup, May 3rd, May 4th, which means on 8E, we need a couple rules for cleanup day. So 8E is what we've been doing in the past. Rita, if you could help me a little bit with, we'll start in the beginning. May 3rd, May 4th, from 8 a.m. to 4. We've been doing it the same way for about 5 or 6 years now. We do it 2 days, not 1. Free car permits can be obtained from Bethel Town Hall. Need car registration. If you already have a car permit, you do not need a new one. That's standard. No special permit is required for cleanup day. Following instructions. First one, tires, 4 per household, standard size car tire are free. Are we asking for a change to that? No.
No.
Okay, so
No,
we're
just
gonna,
authorizing
That is
the
free for that
ability
day.
to
Unless you
dump
wanna
the 4
make it eight.
tires, right.
no, 4 is good. So we agree on that, tires are gonna be free for 4 tires this year. Any household could bring 4 tires in on cleanup day without paying for them, as long as they have their car permit. Bulk waste is all free, that's self-explanatory. Refrigeration units are going to be $15 each, which includes refrigerators, freezers, air conditioners. Questions, comments, or changes? Is that the same we did last year?
The refrigeration units, we reduced the fee on that to 5,
Last year.
yeah.
What does it cost the town to have the, what is it they have
The
to take
freon
the freon?
extraction.
So it
Extraction.
costs the town.
It's, the
That's
cost
more
of the
money.
freon extraction has gone up.
Yeah.
I don't have all the 100% of the numbers, so
Uh-huh.
that's why we were gonna leave that.
Exactly, why we're gonna leave that.
We're gonna leave that the same. Is that all right? For the board?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Oversized computer screens and TVs are $5. Extra large are $10. Is that normal price also?
Yeah, that's a volatile industry. Last year it was actually free for part of the year, and it just recently went up to this amount where we just break even. So you can either leave it at what it cost or give it a break. And just to note that the flat screen televisions and monitors are free. It's
Right,
just
so
the big
Rita,
oversized old
Oversized are the thick
style
ones, the
with
big
the
ones.
big tube on the back, right? And then the extra large would be the giant televisions, those are 10.
The problem is those are the ones that are being dumped on the side of the road.
We do take that into consideration. You know, every year when we make these, we try to make it a little easier on cleanup day. It's getting harder and harder to do that. So I'm comfortable with what you have here. If the board has any other thoughts. And finally, everything the same. However, this is a kicker right here. The one that says no brush. Brush and leaves, free all year. We are, as of,
Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah,
right.
right? We're not collecting.
Everyone else has got crossed out today.
Okay. As of today, we received notification from the DEC who did an inspection a couple weeks ago. No more brush at the transfer station. They will not allow us to store brush there. It is not in our permit. It is not an allowable use. We cannot store brush there. Because
It's biodegradable.
brush cannot be stored. It's not in the permit. As, you know, you'd have to extend your permit or whatever, but they're saying no more
The
brush.
DEC said
Yes.
you can't store just brush,
Brush
And
and-
natural
brush and leaves,
brush.
which is
Correct.
compost.
And the highway department was good enough, they gave us a certain period of time to remove the brush, and I believe they got it all out today, Billy, or
Yeah, as far
close.
as I know, I was away today, but I'm pretty sure it's all gone. But just so if anybody asks you, Lima's takes it, right, you know, for free, because they make
ASB well, too.
chips and stuff, so.
Lena
takes it for free.
For-
Well, I actually have a call into I called 3 vendors today. I only got a response from one, which was Gary Myers. ASB Green World does not have the capacity yet for private individuals to go to their facility. And I just want to touch base with Lima before I start sending anyone there.
Okay.
He may take the municipal waste. I
Well,
don't.
him and Myers are together. It's the
Okay,
same.
well, I wanna
They're
talk to
tied.
Lima
Yeah.
before I start sending anyone there as a resource. So I'm working on that, I should have answers on that by the end of tomorrow, and then I'll have everything updated and published on our rules and regulations for daily use and on the website, so,
Okay.
yeah. And the county, I think, may take it also, but again, Bill Cutler, I have a call into him also to confirm
And-
that.
We
Just
are-
to
yeah, go
clarify,
ahead.
Dan, we've taken that brush for how many years?
Many.
For a
And
long, long
Gary
time.
doesn't
As long
want.
as I can
So
remember.
this is something brand new from DEC.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't remember ever
Oh,
seeing
okay.
that on our
Like
inspection.
Take
your
that.
letters, yeah.
I don't remember
Wow.
ever seeing that on any other inspection report. but if that's what they want, to give this certain period of time to get, we are gonna discuss the DEC a little bit when we talk about the
Yeah.
leachate system.
Okay.
So we're gonna get into that. Is there any other questions about our cleanup day for May 3rd and 4th from the town? If, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, just a motion in a second to, the only thing really we're deviating from is the 4 free tires, and then approval on the ad, which will come out this Friday and next Friday.
That's not regular household garbage that you need the tickets for though, right, on a free dump day, or do you let them?
No,
Yes,
no
regular
regular household waste and no construction debris.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Questions, comments, motions to approve our guidelines?
Make a motion to approve the
Second.
guidelines.
Motion from Vicky, second by Bernie, all in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's always one of our favorite days of the year is the dump day in the town of Bethel. A very exciting event.
Scavenger day.
People start talking about it in January.
Yeah, it's a place to be
As
on
soon as that,
May
as
3rd
soon as
and
that
May
snow gets
4th.
off the ground, it's like.
It's definitely the place to be. What I'd like to do now is, Dave, if you would come up, Mr. Bodenstein is here, he's gonna give us a brief review of our insurance needs for next year. And then we have a visitor, Mr. Poley's gonna follow, Dave, and then a couple more agenda items. Okay?
Good.
Dave, have a good-
Cute.
The good news is that other than a few changes in limits and your premium going down, there's no changes compared to last year. So if you just, I'll briefly go through this. I'll certainly answer any questions that you have as we go through, or at the end, it's up to you. First section should be your property section. Just as a reminder, on the next several pages is your statement of values, which would be all of your locations with the buildings and contents, followed by pictures. We've done that for the last several years, just because it makes it a little bit easier. I did get together with Dan to go over your schedule. Your overall schedule is up. The limit is up approximately $75,000. We did make some specific changes to a few of the buildings, and then any of them that we didn't change, NYMER just uses a 3% sort of inflation guard increase, so that's the difference. So your total limit is that $7.9 million, and the idea of it being written on a blanket basis is theoretically you should never be in a position of being underinsured, because that $7.9 million limit would apply to any one loss. So as an example, if you flip to the very first page in the statement of values, the highway garage we have insured for $350,000. If that was a total and it actually cost $500,000 to replace, you wouldn't be out of insurance limits because that $7.9 million limit would apply. So that's the idea. Towards the end of your statement of values, you do have several locations that we just list there, just so we're sort of all on the same page, which are some vacant lots or vacant property that you have. So there's probably 8 or 9 locations, 10 locations with vacant property. So the next section is your crime coverage. Now, included automatically in the NYMER program is money and securities coverage, $10,000 of coverage on and off your premises. But NYMER does not, or actually they just started last year, but we haven't switched anybody. They didn't previously write bond coverage. We always had to go to another carrier. That's the only coverage that they didn't write. So actually previously, Dan and I had a discussion on the phone one day. Your bond was written through Travelers. But we did get an alternative quote this year through National Grange, and we are going to write it there because there was a very significant premium savings to do that. So your limits are the same as last year. The one thing that I always emphasize when it comes to your bond limits is just that you review them to make sure that they're adequate. And generally speaking, bond coverage is relatively inexpensive, so if we need to bump up any of those limits, please just let me know, and of course we can make those changes. Next section is your general liability insurance. Under general liability insurance, this is where you pick up coverage if you get sued. Bodily injury, property damage, personal injury, advertising injury, products and completed operations all fall under general liability insurance. You have $1 million per occurrence or per claim with a $2 million annual aggregate. So we'll pay $1 million for any one claim, never more than $2 million in any one policy year. That's the aggregate. The OCP policy is necessary for our municipalities because if you're working on state roads or alongside state roads for the permits, the state requires that you carry a separate policy that actually names the state because they don't want to be diluted in limits if you were to have other claims going on at the same time. So that's a requirement. You've always had that and you continue to have that. Also under the general liability insurance, we include $1 million of employee benefits liability coverage. And the only part of the liability that actually has a deductible is that employee benefits liability section. All of the rest of it, there is no deductible for liability. Next section is your public officials coverage. You have $1 million again per occurrence with a $2 million annual aggregate. Also covered under public officials is what we call employment-related practices coverage. Employment-related practices coverage is hire, fire, and discrimination coverage. Wrongful termination. All examples of employment-related practices claims. There is some coverage there for back wages if you get into one of those issues. The non-monetary coverage of $25,000 per claim with the $50,000 annual aggregate. Generally speaking, when you get sued for money. Every once in a while, somebody will sue you because they just don't like something that you're doing. That's a non-monetary injunctive relief claim. I actually just had one of these. I insure about 40 fire districts and ambulance corps. For a few months, you may have noticed that there was a fire district down in Orange County called Greenville Fire District. They bought an action against the fire district because they wanted to nullify their election. They thought that the election process was improper. They brought an action against the fire district. The fire district, like a town, is a political subdivision under the general municipal law in the state of New York, and the insurance company defended them. That was a non-monetary injunctive relief claim. They weren't getting sued for money, they were getting sued because they thought that the election was improper. And that claim cost about $48,000, by the way. So it does happen. Not very often, but it does happen. Also included in the public officials are your boards, your planning board and zoning boards. They are covered as well under the public officials. Also in this section, we have your law enforcement coverage. Again, $1 million per occurrence with a $2 million annual aggregate. You have a $1,000 deductible for the law enforcement and $2,500, I didn't mean to skip over that, under the public officials. In these two areas, the deductibles only apply, they apply on what we call an indemnification basis. So the deductibles only apply if you are sued or litigated against and you lose. If you don't lose and we successfully defend that suit, the deductibles do not apply. NYMER's one of the few carriers that actually do that. So.
Dave, I don't mean to interrupt, but the couple times that we've got sued over the years, I gotta tell you, I think the NYMER attorneys that are provided are outstanding. I mean, I really, they're just a good group, the ones that we've always had. And I don't remember any losing one where we had to pay the deductible, but I could be wrong.
I don't
I don't
think
think
that you have.
I haven't, I can't recall. But they really are just top notch, so. Thank you, Dave.
Next section is your auto section. Just as a comparison to last year you had 46 units, this year you have 45. Like your general liability insurance, you have $1 million of coverage for the liability. We include hired and non-owned liability. Also under commercial auto, uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage is mandatory in the state of New York. You carry $1 million limit for that as well. Personal injury protection in the state of New York is what we call no-fault insurance. No-fault insurance is mandatory in New York. The state minimum is $50,000, the maximum is $150,000, and you carry the maximum limit of $150,000. Medical payments of $1,000, and they include automatically as part of the form mutual aid coverage that only would apply if you had a mutual aid claim as defined under Section 209G of the General Municipal Law. generally speaking, that mutual aid coverage falls into place more in a fire district as opposed to a town. But you could have a situation where that might apply. The next couple of pages is a list of your vehicles. I met with Ronnie Weiss and went over your schedule, and then actually we also did some confirming with Rita because we had a couple of questions. So I believe this list to be accurate. If it's not, and we need to make any changes, again, please do review it and let me know. You'll notice on a few of the columns, we have amount of insurance, and then we have replacement cost, and then the last two are comprehensive and collision. One of the things that NYMER does is what they call road maintenance vehicles, which basically would be anything a tonner and larger. They allow us to do on the inland marine schedule, which means that if they are 10 years old or newer, we can actually insure them on a replacement cost basis. So the advantage of that is you get replacement cost coverage, and you also pay a lower rate. Yes, sir.
I haven't had a chance to review this, but I don't see the paver on there. Am I
Does the
missing something?
paver have a license plate on it? If it does not have a license plate
Then it's
on
not
it, it would
registered.
not be on the auto schedule. You'll see it on the inland marine schedule in a minute when we get to it. Okay.
Very good.
So in the amount of insurance where it says ACV, actual cash value, and then you have a deductible in the last two columns, what that means is those vehicles, the comprehensive and collision coverage is provided like on a traditional auto policy, like a personal auto policy, same thing. All the other ones where you actually see a limit, they're provided under the inland marine section. If you flip to the next section, is the inland marine section itself. This is where we pick up coverage for both road maintenance vehicles and your contractor's equipment. In the next several pages is a list of the vehicles. On that next page where it says 2014 inland marine road maintenance vehicles, you'll see those ones on the top are written on what we call an actual cash value basis. And it's not really an actual cash value basis. The way they really would pay that type of a claim is it's what it would cost to go out and replace that vehicle with similar like, kind, and quality. So if you've got a truck there that's 20 years old with X number of miles on it in a certain condition, what would it cost if we went to the auction or we went to an equipment dealer and matched that? So that's how we come up with those limits. Your trucks on the bottom are 10 years old or newer, and those are the ones that are written on a replacement cost basis. The next page after that is a copy of the equipment. And then the last page is the boat and trailer, which I believe is the police department's. And we include $50,000 of unscheduled equipment. If you just flip back to that first page under the inland marine and umbrella section, I'll talk about the umbrella for a second. You have a $4 million umbrella with an $8 million annual aggregate. The umbrella goes over your other liability coverages. So it would go over your general liability, auto liability, and your public officials liability for a total of $5 million for any one covered claim. The one exclusion is that the umbrella would not go over a land use claim that would be covered under your public officials coverage. You would have the $1 million of coverage under the public officials, but the umbrella would not go over the top of that. Last section is a summary. Last year compared to this year as far as premiums go. You'll see certain areas are up a little bit, other areas are down a little bit. When we get to the end and add them all up, you're paying about $2,100 less than what you paid last year with the increased property coverage and the other changes that we made on the marine schedule. The marine schedule is up a little bit also, about $150,000. And the last page, we give you a little historical data back to 1990. I always think it's kind of interesting that you're actually paying about $12,000 or $14,000 less than you paid in 1990. You can't say that about too many things.
David, question. So the capitalization that we've been getting every year is probably not gonna happen in 15 and 14.
Correct. What happened was your capitalization ended not last year, the year before. Last year, you may recall that you received a check for the interest, actually half of the interest that was earned on your original capitalization. You will receive the second half of that this year as well.
Oh, so we are gonna get a check of some
Yeah.
kind. It's
Yeah.
always nice to get a check.
Yep, actually, I have to go
Invite you to the
to,
meeting, you give us a check, it's always a nice thing.
I just received, because they renewed already, Town of Rockland and Dennings and one other one I have, Delaware. I received actually a couple of weeks ago, so we're delivering those checks now, so I would assume that yours will come in the next month or so.
And it is noticeably down. I noticed that the bond, like you said, I'm glad we
It's down a
quoted
lot.
another
Yeah.
company, because that saved like almost 2,000 right
Yeah.
there.
Great.
Okay.
Questions, problems, concerns? I didn't really spend a lot of time describing NYMER, because we've done that in the past, but I would be certainly happy to entertain any questions that anybody has in regards to that or anything else.
Questions or comments from the board?
I already described it last year.
You remember me describing it last year? That's
Just-
good, thank you very much.
Dave, I just want to thank you again, not only for coming tonight, but throughout the year, we have a lot of questions relating to insurance, all the time. And anybody, you and your staff have just been outstanding, so we want to
Thank you, I
thank you.
appreciate that.
So, receive and file the proposal, motion by Vicky,
Second.
by Bernie, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, I appreciate the business.
Did you want a motion to approve
Yes.
the renewal?
Receive and file motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Dawn,
Second.
Bernie, all in favor?
Yes.
Received, filed, and approved. We have a guest visitor today, Mr. Poley. Tony, if you would come up. Tony has an event planned, I think, for Friday, is that correct? Saturday, so if you would just,
On board,
yes. Yeah,
Vicky, this guy, Brian.
that's Dawn,
Rita, I spoke to on the phone
Rita,
today.
and that's Lillian, if you know Lillian.
And I know Lillian very well, I did make some copies, just basically on the letter to the board. I can give every one of you that, and I kind of did it very quickly today. I dictated it to one of my fellows in the office. He might have had a couple of spelling errors, but excuse me. And, yeah, maybe one or two. I didn't have spell check on it, I think. So anyway, and basically, I'll give to you also, this is a mission statement from a couple years ago, that the new one's on it, and there's an insurance policy too. You want me to stand by the microphone?
As long as they could hear you, I think, Tony.
Well,
they can
everybody
hear
can
you.
hear me, I'm sure I'm pretty loud. But first of all, I want to, I'm Anthony Poli, Tony Poli from Maplewood Auto Service Center. But throughout the years with, you all know Jay Menoa from years ago, Mike Cooper and Ed Howman, we started Sullivan County ATV Association back in 1999. Our goal, which you'll read on the letters I gave to the board, we started an organization, nonprofit through the state of New York, and we do ATV charity runs. Start off as poker runs, if you know what that is. If you don't, basically we invite people to come to our all-terrain vehicle, four-wheeler, now we opened it to motorcycles and side-by-sides, to take a 35 to 40-mile run through the woods. And when they return at the end of the day, of course, we charge them a fee to do it. And at the end of the day, we, get quite a bit of funds in. And at the end of the year, now we've come to do 2 runs a year, a spring run and a fall run. Last year and the year before, we did 3 runs, a winter run, a spring run, and a fall run. And at the end of the event, we retain the funds, and in October, we have a big dinner. We used to do a lot of runs up here in Bethel. We used to do it at the Elder Preserve, the Boy Scouts, all the hunting camps, a lot of private property owners, county properties, etc. Now we hold them over at Mr. Willie's. I use mostly the town of Thompson now, where I am. And we have a big dinner for all the property owners. The DPW comes, Dan Briggs, a lot of guys from the DPW. All the property owners come to our dinner. We recognize the property owners because without them, there's no way we could possibly do this. And of course, whoever is instrumental in volunteering for the events and so on. Up until this day, as a matter of fact, of last October, we've donated over $170,000 directly to families in Sullivan County. That's the families with special needs children. Last year, we also took the liberty to give $1,000 to the 3 Monticello schools. That's the Chase, Rutherford, and the Cook schools for the nurses' departments. Clothing for children if they have accidents in school, et cetera, et cetera. Also, CASA, Child Advocate Organization, they got $1,000 from us also. So we are very instrumental in the community for doing donation with children's groups and directly to families. Not to mention the amount of funds we've also given to companies which we've patronized to conduct these events. Porta potties with places, the insurance companies, people who do the foods for us. Now we basically stay away from the foods. We like to use Mr. Willie's, he'll do our winter and spring events. He lets us use his whole restaurant. He gives it to us for the day. Anyway, it's a good community service. The community got well over $100,000 in all these years, well over. So we've donated a lot, we're very instrumental, we're very giving. And we exhaust all the funds at the end of the year. We keep very little bit to keep our organization going. Anyway, now that you know what we're all about and what we've done throughout the years, I want to show a little bit of my ignorance, and I apologize to the board, because throughout the years, Jay Meadow was always the one that came up here and wrote a letter. I didn't know I was really supposed to give a letter to the board, conduct the board. I always called Doug Ketchum, who kind of gave me a little bit of reaming the other day on the telephone. I wasn't too happy about that, but we always got along in the past, but I guess it was very difficult to get a hold of him in the past couple of years. I didn't think that I really had to come to the board and ask permission to do it, because we are using private property. As far as Mike Mullen, that DPW runs the airport, I did call him after the talk we had. He has no problem with us. We didn't go around the airport in the winter run. He's fine with us, so Doug was a little misinformed about that. I wish I could speak to Doug about that. I'm sure I will, and I'll clear that up. But needless to say, we only cross roads. We don't ride down the roads. All the machines are registered. Some are not. We don't really require registration on some, because you cannot register a side-by-side or some of the dirt bike motorcycles. So we don't penalize all the four-wheelers. But they're all, at the minimum, liability insured. At the bare minimum, most everybody's collision insured and everything. And of course, you see the insurance policy in France, it's quite a good policy, $1 million, $2 million aggregate. So I mean, and if there's youngsters in there that are under 18 years of age, parents are there, have to sign a waiver that they're allowed to ride, they're responsible for their own insurance also. So needless to say, I guess I'm asking you guys for permission to do my event. And it's, again, we're not riding down any roadways. We cross them only. On the paper there, you can see the roads that we do cross. Most of it's all private property that we're on, granted by the owners of the property, and the DPW, of course, which I have permission of well in advance. So with all this said, I want to ask you if you have any questions about what we do and how we do it. And if you do, fine, I'm happy to answer them.
Over the years, the past few years, the Smallwood Mongo Valley Fire Department's been sponsoring ATV runs for our fundraisers. And through Tony's efforts and the Sullivan County ATV Association, they've become very successful. And we worked in conjunction with them, and we never had a problem, except a flat tire maybe. Other than that, I think it's a great idea.
In sight of that, Michael's not with you guys anymore. So, what's his name? He's been working with us for a couple of weeks already, doing the bridges on Mongup Game Preserve. We build bridges in the woods. We maintain trails. All right, Bonakai and the fellow that's he's conducting the event.
Dunn.
Pat, right? Pat is doing that.
Pat Quinlan.
Pat Quinlan. He came out with us 3 weekends in a row. We built 2 bridges already, cleaning properties, introduced a lot of property owners. So he's becoming familiar with a lot of the trail systems that we have. Basically a 45. I have literally 60 miles of trails from Sack Lake Road to Ben Moshe by the Diagnostic Treatment Center, to the Community General Hospital, back to the airport, back to Ted's Quarry, back to me, the Old Lawrence Golf Course. I basically got 60 miles of trails in these woods, and a straight shot across, it's not more than 6 miles. So just to give you an idea of the work we do and how, and it's all private property, and the property owners are ecstatic. They love it. It's not like they get off my property. They're really in tune with it. They come to the dinners every year. We give them plaques, awards. We recognize them, give them a free dinner. It's great, and so it's a good thing. But if there's any confusion about what we do, or any questions you might have, I'm happy to answer any of them. I did put my name and phone number down on there, so you can ask me anytime. And God forbid there's ever a question, ATV-related problems, I'm happy to help fix any problems you guys might see with ATV-related issues in your community, as I do in our community. I always get calls, hey, Tony, someone's riding on my property. I don't know who it is, but I'll definitely help you try too, because there are problems with, but more and more people get in tune with us, and it seems like the more we do this, the more people have respect for riding ATVs and use of private property owners and properties like that, So people are pretty cool about it, so.
I just had a comment, Tony. First of all, I wanted to thank you for all the work that you've done over the years for this charity and this event. You keep the money local. So if I may speak on behalf of the board, it's not unnoticed, and we're grateful for what you do and all the money that you raise. And I appreciate you coming out tonight, too. So what we'll do is, again, do you need
Can I
approval
ask a
from us?
question?
What's that?
Can I ask?
Sure.
Tony, did you always have to come before the board, or is this your first year?
I was never really my job in the organization is more of the property owner, knocking on the doors and building trails, building bridges and all that. I was never really instrumental going to the boards, and Jay Meadow, who you all know very well, he was one that started it with me, Mike, Jay, and Alman. So he was always with the town board and always taking care of that. I didn't know he was always doing that, even with Tony Salini down by us, and your last past, Supervisor Alan Scott. I got letters of recommendation from Alan Gary, Alan Scott, Tony Salini, but I never really went to the boards to do that. I didn't know they had to put letters in, because we're not really using anything that belongs to the town, but I guess it's kind of important for the town to know what's going on. So, again, showing my ignorance, I apologize for that. But needless to say, Jay always took care of it. I didn't know. I take care of my end. I'm not the president anymore. I was the president. I was the secretary. I was the treasurer. I gave it all away. I gave it to everybody else. I have enough on my plate to do what I do in the woods and with the landowners and the property, and all the work on the trails. And I do it every weekend. There was weekends in the middle of winter, 5 Sundays in a row. I'd be out 7 in the morning till 5 at night building trails. It's a lot of work, but why do we do it? Because in the end, if you came, and I'd love to entertain you guys, and someone from the board, or many of you from the board, to come to our dinner in October to see what we do and join us and see where the monies go. It's a rather emotional experience to see the families there and where the money goes, how nice it is,
If I could
What are you
just say,
serving this year?
I know you,
I'll call Mr. Willie's.
well, I know you for many, many years. I worked with your wife
Yeah.
at the hospital, and I was the former director of CASA, and I know even how you help your workers. I think you're a great asset to Sullivan County.
Thank you.
If I could just say, every year I read about it, I see the pictures in the paper, and actually last year, I knew one of the children that you guys help, and I know the family really well, so I know you guys do really good things for kids, so, yeah,
Thank
it's all good.
So, Tony, I just wanted to follow. Do you need approval to do this? I don't know. I remember a few years back, anytime the Smallwood Mongat Valley and you guys had a run, we would get a notice a couple months in advance. And the reason, just a notification, so we know, make sure we have constables on that day. Make sure we know, what's happening that day. So, again, thank you for all you do. I would entertain a motion to approve this, whether it's needed formally or not.
Well,
At least we know where the roads are, what roads you're using.
My purpose of being here tonight is to let you know that we're doing it.
Right.
And I'm sorry
we're
for
not
very
looking
short
to-
notice. So if there's any problem, please let me know now so I can correct that problem. I don't think there should be.
So next year, if you decide to do it, hopefully you will
Yeah.
give us a month or so.
Well, I'll let you know we're doing it in September, probably the week after Labor Day, but you'll be notified well in advance when we pull the date.
So let's just do motion to receive and file correspondence by Bernie,
I'll second.
by Dawn, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for coming out tonight. All right, Tony, it's good to
Again,
see
any
you.
questions or any problems, my name and number's on there, you know how to get over.
Thank you.
Excellent,
And Ms. Rita, nice to meet you. And we'll stay in touch, I'll be calling
very good.
Rita from now on in the future, as Doug
Good.
Ketchum suggested that I should do.
Okay,
Thanks so much, have a great evening.
you too, Tony, thank you.
Yeah.
We have another item on our agenda. 8F is the bid results for the leachate system. I'm just gonna give a little summary. A leachate system was installed at the transfer station. This is all part of the DEC work that's required by the town. In 2009, they had been asking us to do this leachate system since 1999. We finally did the work in 2009. We had to bond it out. It was a $175,000 leachate system, which was part of the landfill closure at the transfer station. They wanted to do us a collection system around to make sure we protected Mongat River. We did it at that cost. At that time, they promised, the DEC said if we spend the money and do the work, they will give us half the money back, which is about $85,000. We are on a list still, 5 or 6 years later, to get that money. We are number 9 out of 11. So they owe us $80,000. It is coming, maybe 4 or 5 years, I don't know when it's coming. But we did bond the work in 2009. The collection system that we installed has a 98% rate of success. So it's doing great. 98%. However, the DEC and the EPA are still not happy. They want that last 2%. They want it fixed. They want it, they want some modifications done to that system, and they're costly. So we had a consent order that we all agreed to pay in December, a fine that we had to pay. We had to pay $4,500 fine in December, a $4,500 fine in January. The initial fine was $80,000 for the system. That was the fine, and we agreed to pay the $9,000 and make the corrections and improvements by May and June of this year. So what we did was pay the fine, and we got some bids for this work, and they came in today to the town hall. There's a phase 1, which is the improvement to the collection system. We decided to break it into 2 phases. One phase has to be done by May 15th or May 30th. The second phase has to be done by June. They will not extend our time to get this work done. If we do not do it on time, we will be facing stiffer penalties once again. And we did make aware of the board in December and January when we agreed to pay this. So the bids are, for the first phase, the low bid was Myers, $67,884 is the low bid out of the 3. As you can see from 8F, that's the low bid.
It amazes me how close the other 2 bids are.
Yeah.
And
So I don't even want to get into phase 2 right now. We could discuss that at another time once we get phase 1 rolling. And the question most ask me is, how are we going to pay for that? The DEC doesn't care how we pay for it, but they want it paid for. So what I would suggest is the leachate system that we bonded in 2009 was a 5-year bond. We've been paying $34,600. We paid our last payment this past January. So we're going to roll over the bond with the $67,000, whatever else needs to be done for phase 2, which is at $10,000 or $12,000 when we get to it. We'll add it all together. It won't hurt our general fund for next year. It won't hurt our bond because we're just rolling over one that's paid off. It's not going to hurt our fund balance, and it'll get the work done finally. If we could get this work done, I don't believe there's any other work, and there's not 100% assurance that it's going to take out that last 2% that they're looking for. There's some of our engineers say that rainwater alone will make us exceed the parameters that they've set. But this is what they do, and it's their job, and we have to do it. So I would entertain a motion if there's questions or comments from the board first.
We have to do it.
We have to do it.
I knew you guys were going to say that.
We'll
I don't
get
think
fined
any of us
again.
are real happy about it.
No, none of us are happy
about it, but we
I didn't
have-
even want to pay the fine, but we did.
You
Bernie or
voted
Dawn?
no.
Well, on a money point of view, looking over the work to be done, that $67,000 is a pretty cheap price. It's hard to beat.
Especially
Was,
being that the other 2 was so close together
But I'm
and so much more.
confused at the per line, how different they are. One
Yeah.
person's 15, the other's
Depends how,
40,
where
and
they,
the other's 6.
Mhm.
that's where they get the material from.
To go from 40 to
It
15 to
amazes me.
6,000?
You know what,
On the
Dawn,
line?
they may
Seems
add one
too
to one
much, so
line and then
close.
take off from the other,
So-
as long as their total is what they're after.
Yeah, that's
They don't want the other guy to see that.
Right. So we did accept the bids today.
I have one
Sure.
question, I guess it's for the DEC. We go ahead and we do this, and like you said, we are not guaranteed that this is going to fix it. That it could be rainwater, and I know I spoke with one of the engineers for the town too, he told me the same thing. If it's, I mean, would we have to do something else, or is this it?
Absolutely.
We're hoping that this is it. There is no
Okay.
guarantee.
Okay.
There is no guarantee. I mean, it just,
If they
You don't
find,
go, thanks for trying,
if
Right.
if they find something else wrong again, we'll just have to do something else again.
the
We have
DEC
no-
approved these
They
plans.
have no,
Do we have pollution coverage here?
No, not really. Dave's
It
gone,
must
but
be
I
that
don't
if we
think so.
don't take the brush, maybe they think that'll help.
They don't, they check the water, you know.
Yes.
They put a chemical test on the water,
We can't take
so
Me neither. I think that's stupid.
in different areas around the entire
You
landfill.
know, if it's rainwater, they'll know
Or
we'll-
well, what they're trying to get us is make that pond bigger that's there, so it
Yeah.
leaches longer, and that would do better on the readings.
it. Right, exactly.
So the DEC has approved the plans, they believe that this will do it and make us fully 100% compliant.
Right.
If we don't do it, they are going to subject us to $37,500 fines per day,
Per day.
Right.
like they did before. So, again, I think something that we need to do. Questions or comments or motions? I'm sorry, Lillian?
You'll vote not to pay it again.
Well, no, but notice what I'm gonna vote for.
Vote to go to jail.
Yeah, I'd rather do the 6 months jail time, but that's not an option.
And
Motions or,
Then I'll make a motion to accept the phase, you just want the phase one? for right
phase
now?
one for now, let's get
Okay.
that done and
So
maybe we
let's
could.
accept Myers, phase one, Myers bed.
I'll second it.
Motion from Vicky, second by Lillian, all in favor?
Yes.
And no more fines.
Hopefully no more fines, I'm in favor.
Yep.
And we'll, that's it tomorrow. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What is a leach field?
The leach field is where they collected all around the whole landfill, they collect all the water that's gonna go into the river, and they pump it up to one pond. And the DEC is suggesting by making that pond bigger, it'll have more time to leach out into the ground, and the readings will be better by the time it gets back into the river.
Is it
So-
dirty water?
It's not dirty water, no, when they tested it, it's almost, I've been there while they tested it, no, it doesn't look dirty at all. It's got a little heavier in iron than it's supposed to, but, you know, some people say iron's good for you.
Well, it looks dirty, but then we put it in the cup, it's.
Yeah, when it looks, yeah, we've seen it, right, we've tested it, yeah.
Most of it is rainwater.
I mean, I didn't drink it or anything, but, so that's what we're hoping. So that takes care of 8F. I believe, and thank you to the board for that, I believe we have exhausted our agenda items. Before we get to the announcements, we'll start with town board comment with Lillian.
I would like to say that the Easter party was wonderful. I had such a good time. It was very, very nice. The kids were all happy. Everybody got lots of nice presents. And this is the end of April, so even though there's no summer people here, we had put a vote to, we put off a vote in January to figure out what days we were gonna have Thursday meetings. I suggest that we have one or two. I know some people probably want more, but last year, one meeting we had 10 people. The next meeting we had 7 people, and the next meeting we had 4 people. Wednesday nights work better for me, but I guess I have to listen to the residents too, and they want some Thursday meetings. So whatever the board agrees on, if I don't wanna, have 3 again because of the fact that we didn't have a good showing last year. But that's up to everybody else what we do. So,
Okay.
I agree
We'll
with
think about
Lillian
it.
that we need to have at least 2 during the summertime for those who, can't get up on Wednesday, but can get up on Thursday to attend some meetings.
What we could do, if I don't know if you wanna wait till another meeting, or you
We
wanna.
could
Go
look
ahead,
at
Vicki.
if we could just look at our calendars, and maybe we could do this at our next meeting,
Yeah.
so we'd
Fine.
have a chance
but
to look at our
at
calendars.
least we know, at least, thanks to this gentleman here, they know that we're considering it. We just don't know the date yet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next meeting.
And the question, and what we would have to do is cancel the regularly scheduled meetings that we have on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month, and then proceed to
Mhm.
change 1 or 2 of those dates for the summertime months. Okay.
I think the meeting in June was, I have my notes at home because I counted. I think the meeting in June had the most people. The meeting in August just about had 4.
Okay.
So I think that's
We'll check our
ridiculous to
calendars.
change it for them. And also, I'd like to say that the Bethel Lions Club had a guest speaker last night from Neisner, and everybody had a wonderful time. A lot of people are going to have their house audited by Neisner or whoever does it, and the Green Committee all came, the board came, and the chair of the zoning board was there, and everybody enjoyed him immensely. And also, the Bethel Lions Club decided last night to give $300 towards a child's camp here. Instead of sending them to a camp out of the county, we decided to give it to a child in Sullivan County to help them be able to go to camp so that their parents can work.
Good.
That's it for me.
Thank you, Lillian. Vicky?
Well, I was also gonna speak about our Easter egg hunt. Had about, I would say about 80 children
I
there.
think maybe more.
It might have been more. It was probably the most organized Easter egg hunt that we've had yet. I have to give credit to Kathleen Doherty and to Kathy McFadden. They did a wonderful job, and all the volunteers that were there. It was the smoothest I've ever seen it go, so we'll look forward to that. I also just have to comment, just because I didn't realize about this no brush rule that the DEC just gave us, and I'm sitting here, I'm fuming a little bit, because they to ask people, this has just been one of those things that people could do in this town for years, was to clean up their yards and bring their brush to the town, and I cannot for the life of me think of a reason why it's clean brush, it's natural, it's nature, and it's going into nature. I cannot understand. So what I would like to ask, if it's okay, could we send a letter asking for an explanation from the DEC why they are doing this? This has been a service that's been offered to our citizens for as long as I can remember. And I don't understand why they would say all of a sudden, no, you can't have this.
They're doing it because they can.
Well,
They're very quick to, we're gonna be fined, we're gonna be fined. But this is a service we've offered to people, so many people who say to us, what do I get for my taxes? Well, this was some little thing, but it was something that people were able to do. You could clean up your yard, and if you had brush and twigs, and you could bring it to the town for free. And now the DEC says we can't bring natural brush to the town. I would like an explanation of that.
The DEC inspection report, I didn't bring it with me tonight, but it's actually rather clear. It explains exactly why they're not allowing it. I just don't have it on top of my head. It's not part of the, it explains why. I mean, we question them further, but it does explain why. It's not part of the permit, and they don't want it anywhere on that site.
But it's
So-
been there for all these, and they've come and
Absolutely, and I-
inspected us for years.
I've looked through last inspections that we've had. I've never seen that myself.
Is there a new inspector?
Nope, same guy. Mr. Davley's been here for years. Maybe they can't find anything else, so now they're paying for the brush, I don't know. We gotta try to find something, and that's the new one. I was quarterback too, but, the pile was getting big. Years ago, there was a problem when they kind of lit up the pile. I don't know if anybody recalls that.
Oh, I don't know if we were gonna light up the pile.
Well, somebody lit up the pile, and that was a DEC problem back then. They just took a match and lit it up. And there was
Hey, when I worked at the highway department, that's how we got rid of brush.
Yeah, well, they did it, and then.
A lot of things have changed, yeah.
For a couple
We
days.
didn't even have a chipper then, we burned the brush to get rid of it.
We do have a chip for that.
No, we do now, but I'm saying 20 years ago, we used to burn it, so
Just
that's how
burn it,
things
yeah.
change,
So you're saying it's a reasonable explanation?
Yeah, it was very simple. It's
Could
exceeding
we
our
just
permit.
ask
Sure.
them why this year as opposed to any other year, since they've been conducting these
Hopefully,
inspections?
be able to call them Monday is the plan, and alert them that we are done, so they don't have to send a consent order out after us. Because I think we are gonna be done with what they want.
I think most of it's done today.
Most of it's done, so we could call them in a
I'll
conference call.
just leave that to you.
Absolutely, you can come and talk to them.
If you
We're
could
gonna
just-
get them on the
yes.
phone.
Okay, thank you.
Matter of fact, I think we're gonna be seeding everything tomorrow.
Right, the seating is tomorrow, and it should be all done by Monday, and then we could call and just say everything is done. Vicky,
That's it.
you all set? Bernie?
I was just wondering, they have this is directed to Billy, the shell bank down on Hurd Road. Just wondering, you know, if people wanna not dump, but, you know, get rid of their, brush, you know, leaves, you know, which is compost basically, to make a spot over there, get a machine down there and put a containment area in, and,
Probably could, but we could run into the same problem.
Yeah.
They get
Well,
rid of it. and,
I don't know, you don't have a permit there, right? You don't have a permit
well,
there.
it's,
Something-
They're not gonna
there's a
like it
lot of
there
stuff down there anyway from
Yeah.
previous years, and I think it'll be okay if we could do it, you know, and, especially stuff
I
from the.
think it's okay where it
that
is.
Well, that's all right. If you, like stuff that you chip
Right.
and nobody wants it,
Oh, I have no problem getting rid of chips.
really,
Everybody
okay,
fight over it.
because
Yeah.
sometimes, there comes a certain point in time of the year that people don't want it.
Right now, I don't have that problem. I got a list of people that want them, so.
Okay.
Maybe in the future, but I don't think so. There's always somebody who
Well, I
wants
thought
chips.
maybe that was another spot, another, place to, get rid of that
I
stuff.
forgot to say something again.
Well, if we, I mean, I don't think we should, take an ad out in the paper, spring it.
No,
brush,
no,
you know,
no.
that-
Just
No,
take
I
a
don't
look
think
at the
so.
site, Billy, if you
Yeah,
would,
yeah,
let
no,
us know, you
to
can
be
be
honest,
corrected.
I haven't gotten in there since I've taken office. It's just been locked up.
But as of now, we are looking for alternate sites to bring it. Do not bring it to our transfer station, that's gonna be in the paper, and we'll get it at least
There
in
is
the
a lot of
hand.
room back there, in my recollection.
Oh, on the Hurd Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is
Oh,
room,
yeah,
so
that's
just
I think you
take a
need to
look.
think about that.
Yeah, a
I mean,
little
you don't
bit.
want, it's an unmanned,
Yeah.
property.
Well, that's true too, there's nobody
It's
there.
just-
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we lock it, so,
You'll find
Then
it
you
at the
get
gate.
You know, people going in and out.
It'll be at the
there.
gate, so you won't be able to get in.
Yeah, right, and what do we do, by appointment only, bring your brush, I mean,
Right.
it gets a little tricky.
Ideally ASB or the other.
Well, no, not ASB. Right now, the only one I have confirmed is Gary Myers, but he won't take the brush and leaves. Any size, stump and brush.
We still allowed to do
leaves, though.
Christmas trees?
There is Gary Myers.
The
We'll
county
have
will
to-
chip those for free. I have my feelers out. I got 3 or
Okay.
4 phone calls out, and I'll have, but by the end of the week, I'll have an answer.
And then we'll let you know
everyone.
too, Billy, what's happening.
I think that's a good job for Billy,
What's that? Chip
to keep an eye on Hurd Road.
Yeah, I have nothing better to do anyway, so.
What the hell?
Thank you, Bernie,
Gary Myers is just
Yeah.
right.
you all set?
Yes, thank you.
Questions, comments? Dawn?
I just wanted to
Yeah.
follow up now that our lake is defrosted. Have we looked into the life preservers for our constables on the lake? The nice, flat, did you check with the
I did,
sheriff?
no, I didn't check with the sheriffs. I mentioned something to Daryl. He happened to be in the office, and there are life jackets, sufficient number on the boat.
But
but
they're
he-
the.
I told him
the
to,
bulky-
that he'd have to sit down and look through the catalog, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
'Cause, do we have funding or fund for the boat constables?
Yes.
or- okay.
We have a certain uniform allowance that we have for boat constables.
Comes out of the constable's salary, right?
No, we will have them. So we did make them aware of the suggestion.
Okay, great.
Right, we need to see what he wants and how much
Right.
they are and how many he needs, but the boat does have life jackets on them.
Dawn,
That's it.
you all set?
I have something else to say.
Lillian,
The Bethel Lions Club also decided, because yesterday was Earth Day, we're going to plant the tree again. We'll get the tree donated, and it's going to be the first tree to be planted at the former golf course, which will be the new park.
Oh, good stuff,
nice, right? Yeah, that's what
yeah.
Okay, I have a couple announcements and then we'll do public comments. As we've been discussing, first one, 426 to 54 is the countywide litter pluck. The 426 is the fundraiser for Faith Burger at the White Lake Firehouse. That's this Saturday from 6 to 9. New York City bus trip, 426, that's this Saturday. Cleanup day, as we discussed. There's gonna be a ribbon cutting for the American Sportsman, which is out on Laird Road at 10 o'clock on the 3rd.
Fair weather.
What's that?
Fair weather.
Is it Fairweather?
Yeah.
It was one of those roads out there. American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is gonna be a meeting. They are going to need volunteers this year on the 5th here in Duggan School. Allison Whitney 5K, don't forget, on the 10th of May. Planning Board has an agenda on 13th, Town Board's on the 14th, Community Pride Day and a cookie baking contest is on the 17th. here at Duggan School. Zoning Board, if they have an agenda, I don't think they do, on the 19th. Don't forget the school district budget vote is on the 20th. DMV will be here in this building from 10 to 2 on the 22nd. I've noticed that we don't have any more town board meetings till May. I just wanted to announce that the Sullivan County Chamber of Commerce Pride Award winner for Bethel is Mike and Sandy Casaro from the Signpost. So I thought it was an appropriate time to congratulate them and thank them for all they do. And then there's a awards luncheon on May 4th, I think it is. Absent that, we'll entertain public comments from the left. It was only Michael tonight is on the left.
That's it.
You all right, Michael? Questions or comments, Raymond?
This past Saturday, we had the White Lake Fire Company had their dinner at the Carriage House, and you were present. You swore in all our officers, or swore at them, I don't know which. And Tommy Hendrickson was given a memento of his 50 years, and Ralph Litt was for 60 years, and I got 2 trophies. Who? Kenny? What did he get, 50 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I got a plaque for most fires and fireman of the year.
I saw your picture on Facebook, I was gonna congratulate you.
And Tom's award was awarded to him by his grandson, who's now fire chief,
Yeah.
who became fire chief in White Lake at the same age his grandfather became fire chief in White Lake Fire Department.
Yeah.
And that was 45 years ago.
50?
50?
Yesterday.
No, went as far as chief.
Oh,
Tommy,
he was chief in the year of
69.
Woodstock, 69.
Raymond, that was a great event. Again, thank you.
yeah, it was good
Great
dinner.
event. It was a
You
nice
and I
dinner.
ate the same thing.
I loved the dinner and then all the people that were there, so it was really
Yeah.
nice event.
And
My
we-
daughter and I went, so it was
We
very nice.
enjoyed the company,
Yeah, it was very nice.
and Ray's better half was there, and I'm missing her tonight, wondering where she is.
Yeah, me too.
Is
She
she all
didn't want
right?
to come out with this weather.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not that good.
as long as she's okay.
Questions or comments? Marcia?
When Mr. Bodenstein was speaking, he mentioned the town barn. Didn't we at one time talk about moving the town barn or doing, and I haven't heard anything. I wondered, is anything happening or is it dead?
There was a suggestion in 2008 and 9 where we were very close to doing a bond to do a new highway barn on property owned by the pool, town-owned property by the pool.
Right.
The economy went down quickly, right around the time we were gonna bond, and so it's cost prohibitive. Now, we do have plans, we have the site, everything that was needed was in the plans, and we tabled it because it's too much to, a new building such as that that's needed for the highway department, would be cost prohibitive. It would be, it hurt our taxes, it'd be a large increase to do a bond of that size. It was close to a $3.5 to $4 million project, and that was at 2008 and 9 numbers.
That wouldn't, moving isn't gonna save us anywhere near that amount.
No, I mean, yes, you'll save money on energy efficiency because the current building that we have and the trucks probably get a longer life, but it's still, there's just no way to pay for that currently under the economic conditions, as far as I'm concerned. As much as we'd like to get one for the guys.
Thank you.
Questions, comments? We read the announcements. Absent that, I want to thank everyone for coming. Can I entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting for tonight?
Make a motion.
Lillian, everybody seconds it. Anybody opposed? Have a great night. Thank you all for coming.